Hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and I wonder whether you have ever fallen into this trap that I'm about to talk about. The trap of judging somebody for their illness. I know I have. Hi everybody, this is DearMamaSal, and I wanted to talk about this subject today because it came up with one of my viewers. I'm going to start off by telling you my personal story around this before I tell you the viewer's story. Some years ago, I was not feeling at all well, and I hadn't been feeling at all well for quite some time. I am what I call one of those people that I don't go to the doctor soon enough. You know the sort? It'll go away type. Anyway, it got bad enough that I knew I really was not feeling well. I had ballooned up to a much bigger weight than I was used to, and I had my hair starting to fall out in chunks, which even I knew perhaps wasn't a good thing. Anyway, I went to my local walk-in doctor, walk-in clinic type doctor, and explained what was going on. And he basically patted me on the head, gave me a couple of aspirins and said, "Go for a walk, you'll feel better." Now, that would have been okay with me if I'd gone in when I first started feeling the symptoms, but I'd had these symptoms for some time, months. And so I knew whatever it was that was wrong with me was not something that was going to get fixed by a couple of, aspirins and a walk around the block. So I did actually seek out an old doctor of mine, old as in long time ago rather than ancient, and I ran my symptoms past him, and he rolled his eyes and said, "Well, we'll do the blood test, but everything you're telling me is classic thyroid breakdown." And I went, "What?" And he said, "Everything that you're telling me is absolute classic symptom for thyroid breakdown." I went, "Oh, thank you." And it was, by the way, that's exactly what it was. And by the way, they caught it a little bit too late. It affected, for some reason, part of my memory. But that's another story altogether, and don't let's worry about that. Let me get on with the story that I came to tell you. I've got a wonderful viewer called Lauren, and Lauren's niece had anorexia. And you know what it's like. The whole family sort of went, "Yeah, right, why don't you try eating something?" And she was losing more and more weight, and everybody's sort of rolling their eyes and going, "Yeah, she's anorexic." And you know that it happens in, this is not an unusual behavior. We all react like this. So they weren't cruel about it or nasty or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But, they just had it pegged as anorexia because that's what the doctors told them it was, and treated her accordingly. And they've just found out she actually is very ill. And that her weight loss and her loss of appetite had absolutely nothing to do with anorexia. And that the progression of this illness, she has something called myotonic muscular dystrophy, and for anybody to have that, it's a horrible disease. Horrible. And so you can imagine what the family is going through at the moment, because they had originally just poo-pooed it as anorexia. Not that anorexia isn't very, very dangerous as a disease on its own, but you get what I'm saying. So here's my request to you all. If anybody in your sphere of influence, your family, or friends of family friends, family members of your friends, do you know what I'm saying? Anybody in your sphere of influence has one of these diseases that seems to go on for a while. Here's what I recommend. Have a quiet chat to them and say, why don't you just ask the doctor, could it be anything else? Because that's what I did when I went to my doctor. I said, this guy keeps telling me this is psychosomatic thing, and that I'm in depression or whatever. Now I know what depression feels like. I've been there. I've been there big time, and I know what it feels like, and this doesn't feel like depression. And so if it is not depression, what else could it be? And so one of the things I would recommend gets said to the medical professional, I know you think that this is anorexia. I understand that. And you've probably, got enough bits of the puzzle to make it add up. 1 and 1 plus 1 plus 1, makes 4, therefore it's anorexia. But let's just throw anorexia off the table for a moment. Would those 4 symptoms add up to anything else other than that? Just so that we're sure, is there anything else that those 4 symptoms could be that we have not tested for? And I think if we did that, it challenges the doctor to think again. By the way, if the doctor rolls his eyes and goes, when did you get your medical degree? One of those, because I've met those. Then smile sweetly and go get yourself a second opinion elsewhere. And by the way, remember, this could be somebody's life you're talking about. So no, yes, you may be being a pest. Yes, you may have to wait a long time to get to a second opinion, but get one. And say to them, the previous doctor has added all these symptoms up to make anorexia. We want to know, could they add up to anything else? That's all we're asking. Do these 4 symptoms, or 5 or 6, whatever they are, add up to a possibility of anything other than that? Because if so, we'd like to get her tested for it, or we'd like to get the test done for it. I hope that makes sense to all of you. Looking after ourselves is one of the most important things we can do for our mental health. Looking after those we love is really important. Not everybody will want our help. But, it's amazing if you plant the seed in somebody. If you say to them, hey, have you asked your doctor what it could be if it is not this? I encourage you to ask him that. And if you want me to come with you and ask him, I'll gladly do it. But this is how I'd word it, and give them the wording. All right, this is DearMamaSal saying, I hope that makes some sense. Pass it down your line of influence. Bye-bye for now.